Hey everybody, Laughing Boy here. Today I thought I would do a video on some of my experiences from UK Games Expo this weekend. So it's the Monday after the Sunday of UK Games Expo. I'm back with my kids. We walked just shy of 30 kilometers and played so many games it's untrue. And I thought, one, I would show you, or talk about what we got up to, and give you some opinions on things. Two, show you the swag. The swag's always nice. Yeah, and just have a bit of a chat. Now, obviously, it's a one-way chat, but I'd love to hear what you got up to at the show, if you went, or what I talk about, any views or comments on it. There is so much to remember. Yeah, we'll just go through the things that for me stood out. So we'll start with the event. For me, the event is awesome. It's 3 days of just non-stop board gaming, tabletop gaming, war gaming. It's not just a come and empty your wallet on loads of new swag. It's really play games, and that's what it was for me this year. Previous years when I've really sort of like bought loads of new games. Just like every game that we like playing, we bought it and just kept buying games, and we came back with loads. But that means now I have this place is just full of games that we haven't even played since buying them. So one of the things I wanted to do this year was to go back and learn some of those games that are sat in cellophane, so that when we come here, because there's no better way of learning a game than actually playing it rather than just flicking through the manual. So yeah, we played a whole bunch of things that we already own, and therefore got to grips with the rules and just the play of it through the Let's Plays that they run, and that's what's really great. We were there for 3 days this year. We don't normally do 3 days. We've been 4 times now, I think, to UK Games Expo, and we've always done 2 days. The Friday and the Saturday, because it falls on half term for my kids, so I'm able to take them on the Friday, which tends to be the quieter day, and then we've got the Saturday. This year we did 3, just because, hey, why not? And I would probably not do that again, personally for me, because obviously we live quite far away from UK Games Expo. It's like a 3-hour drive. For us, that's far. It's not necessary for other people. I know people probably travel a lot further than that. So we have to stay in a hotel, and you can pay quite pricey prices for a hotel depending on when you book them. So for that Saturday night stay, and the UK Games Expo shuts at 4 on the Sunday, and some of the traders start to wind down like 3 o'clock ish. You're not getting a full day there, so possibly would do it for 3 days. My son's starting to enter into some tournaments, which I'll talk about later. So I think if he's in tournaments, then we'd probably stick around. Now, that being said, if you live close by, within an hour of the Birmingham NEC in the UK, you should definitely do 3 days, because it's a super cheap event. If you've got kids, most of the time they're going for free. I can't remember what the age. I think it might be under 11s go for free, but even then over 11s, you're talking like less than, I can't remember the ticket price, but less than £20 for an entire weekend. Which, try doing an event for less than 20 quid for a weekend of entertainment. Good luck. Yeah, so brilliantly done, well organised, signposted everywhere where you need to go. There's no, just well done. Great selection of traders there and exhibitions there. They've got things going on in the NEC, outside the NEC, around the hotels of the NEC, especially the Hilton, where I've not been to the Hilton before to see all the sort of action that goes on there. And we went Friday and Saturday night over there, and it was crazy. The hotel pretty much gives up its entire sort of ground floor and all of its meeting rooms and stuff to board gamers, tables set up everywhere. And again, all UK Games Expo posted and signed, so no getting lost. They've even got a games library there you can go and rent games from. Brilliantly done. The only thing I would say is it could do with more space, because when we got there, we went there about sort of 7 o'clock and the place was full. Every table was taken. You've got to get in there early. We luckily ended up sitting in the bar area and finding a table most nights. Well, certainly Friday. Saturday night was a bit more tricky because it was really busy, and also the Liverpool football game was on. Go on, Liverpool. That's all I'll say about that. That got me a couple of dislikes, I'm sure. Maybe a few likes. But yeah, really good. Can't fault it. There was nothing I would change. easy. You know, when you've got kids, you're thinking about food, you're thinking about toilets, you're thinking about meeting places if one of them happens to get lost, and they've got all of that covered. And everyone's nice as well. I mean, what a great community we have in sort of tabletop. You might get some background noise because I've got the doors open because it's a lovely day, so you might get some background noise like a train going past or something. Yeah, everyone we met was nice and just helpful and kind. Not a bad one amongst them. So yeah, brilliant event, well organised, well done to the events organisers. One of them we now know, after we met her, is a local girl to us, and actually went to my wife's grammar school together. Well, not together, but they both went to that school. So that's good to know. And she's also pretty good at events organising. Maybe something about that school creates great events organisers. So what else then? So that was the event. What did we enjoy playing? Standout games for me immediately are Escape the Dark Vector. I think that's what it's now called. I think that's it. So it's basically Escape the Dark Castle, but in space. So by Themeborn, we love Escape the Dark Castle. I own the collector's sort of Kickstarter all-in box with all the expansions, and we play it regularly, and it's a great game. So they've now done, after much hounding, I'm sure, by everyone who loves that game, to do another one in another sort of, theme. And they did space, which I think was what everyone wanted. And they've added some additional mechanics to it. So there's reloading, there's taking cover. So like obviously, because it's space, it's not going to be all just Escape the Dark Castle was very much in your face combat when it happens. You're in melee with some monster. This obviously being space means that there's probably laser guns and other things. So it drops a lot of sort of ranged combat into the game. So you've got guns, but the guns aren't great. They're often one shot and then you're reloading. You've got flanking so that you may spend your turn getting into a better position to be able to take on the thing that you've just drawn from your adventure deck. Guns can jam, and then you have to fix them. It's very easy to not hit, and they shoot back. So you need to be prepared to that. And then once you've decided that you've probably done all you can at range, you get in there and you start the close combat, and that's very similar to Escape the Dark Castle. New items, upgrades into your sort of individual that you play, which I really liked actually. They are the same characters from Escape the Dark Castle. So you've got the cook, but he'd be called something like Lieutenant something or other, cook, and butcher and miller and tailor. So it's really quite cool. But they all get an upgrade chip. They've all got these like slots in their head where you can put they've all had a bit of sort of bit of enhancement going on, and those enhancements are small little. It's maybe you heal 2 rather than 1 when you heal, or you can re-roll one of your hit dice when you're a better shot or something like that. So really cool game. Really enjoyed that. Cannot wait. Actually, not cannot wait. It's already on Kickstarter. I've backed it. If you like Escape the Dark Castle, you will love this. So I would suggest you also get involved. What else? Parabellum, great miniatures game. I was a bit skeptical because I was like, okay, another fantasy battles miniature game, of which I've got a bunch already. And I would actually like to sink more time into Age of Sigmar, just because I have armies for it back from old fantasy battles and also new ones. So I was a bit skeptical of that, but got to the tables. Miniatures look amazing. They're real chunky, like not toy, but like not definitely not Warhammer. Loads of intricate details that take you forever to paint and even break when you're building. These feel like chunky miniatures that you can play with, and they've got weight to them, and they've got very sort of defined markings to them. They look really cool. And the dwarves were awesome. The dwarves look like big, chunky, weighted dwarves. They look really slick. Looked great. Looked like it was very easy to paint and make some great effects with paint. The gameplay was, I quite liked that you make essentially your initiative. You make an initiative deck. So for each unit you have a card. You put that card into an order. So from the thing you want to go last at the bottom to the thing you want to go first at the top. and then you play that. So when it's your turn, you flip the top card of your thing. It's your archers or your cavalry or whatever it is, your big gribbly monster, and that's the thing you're going to activate. So you can pre-order that how you want to. Of course, your opponent's doing theirs, and you have no idea how they're pre-ordering theirs. And it was just quite nice because the nice thing it does, obviously, you could say to yourself, well, I can do that anyway. In my head, I can go, well, I want that to go first, that second, third, fourth, fifth. The problem is, if it's in your head, you get to change your mind. So when they win the initiative and they play something, and you think, crap, that's not what I thought they were going to play. I was prepared to sort of flank in with these guys or whatever, or rain arrows in on them, and now they've charged my archers. You still have to play the deck in the order that you created it. So I quite like that. We didn't refer to a rule book once. Now, fair enough, the other guy knew the game, but within 2 turns, I knew all of the characteristics of my units, and I was going, okay, so I need this, so I need to roll these and that. And it's based on lowest wins kind of thing. Great for me. I roll lots of 1s and 2s. Never very many 5s and 6s. So 1s and 2s, I'm not going to complain about. Yes, and you are plussing, minusing 1 or 2 depending on whether you may be charged or your armour. But it was very killy. So yeah, we were doing, I was thinking, oh, these archers are going to be typical archers. I'm going to fire a load of arrows and no one's going to die. Nope, I took out entire units with those, and therefore he knew he had to. You have to deal with those kind of threats, and of course you would, right? If 12 arrows are firing into a unit of 5 guys, you expect to kill a bunch of them, not have them all deflected or whatever. And same if you're charged by a big gribbly monster, you expect it to kill a lot of things, and it did. So that was really cool. I actually won. They have a little competition. I'm sure it's the let the newbie win kind of rules. So I come home with a sprue of the archers that I played with, which I don't think are available till end of June. So that's quite nice to have something a bit early. I can make those and paint those up and show them on Twitch stream or on YouTube, just so you can see what they're like. Maybe in hindsight I could have made a couple to show you now, but I'll do that anyway. Right. So that was Parabellum. Really enjoyed that. If you get a chance, take a look at it. Where else did we go that sort of stands out for me? We played Fantasy Brawl by Mythic Games. Wasn't at first I was like, oh, okay. I really liked Mythic Pantheon Battles before they split. I really like Joan of Arc and Solomon Kane and Reich Busters, all things that I've backed and waiting for. And when I've actually had a chance to play, especially Solomon Kane, I really enjoyed that game, playing that. When Fantasy Brawl came out, I was a bit like, okay, not sure this is going to be for me, but actually enjoyed playing it. And especially my kids enjoyed playing it. One, because my eldest son just annihilated me in the game that we played. But it's a really kind of small arena fighter. So you've essentially got 3 heroes. I don't know if you could have more than 3, but it's 3 versus 3. You jump into this arena. You've got cards and abilities to play and some basic abilities, and it's complete objectives or kill each other. Each time you kill each other, your character levels up, and you keep going until the end of the rounds. Really simple. The miniatures look fantastic. Again, really, I think that's maybe the thing people are going for now, is less tiny details that people don't see at the the 3-foot test. You're going, okay, but more the sort of these feel like weighted, chunky miniatures, and give a real presence on the table. So yeah, really enjoyed that, and it's Mythic, right? So it's not going to go wrong. It's going to be great. They seem to be doing an awesome job of creating games. It'd be nice to see some of those games delivered, and I know Joan of Arc is kind of out there being delivered, so I'm not sure I'll be jumping in on this one, but we'll see, because I've got, like I say, already got Joan of Arc, not with me yet, but out there in the world somewhere, Denmark somewhere apparently, or Holland. So yeah, Joan of Arc, Solomon Kane not going to be around, I don't think, until later this year, and then Reich Busters as well. So do I want another Kickstarter? Not sure I do. Anyway, you should definitely check it out if you kind of want that sort of arena fighter game. I'm just visualising in my head what else we kind of got around. Weirding Wood was another one. So Weirding Wood, it's really hard to explain, but it's essentially a really for me it felt really immersive. Others might not like it, but for me it was a cross between fighting fantasy book being read, so you have to read it, and then as a group, it's a group playing Final Fantasy fighting fantasy book, and you use a deck of cards to map out where you're going. So these cards will have locations on them, like the woods, the forest, a cave, a mine, a castle, a witch's house, all this sort of stuff. And so it's 4 players. I think maybe you could probably have more than 4, but we played with 4 of us. And the DMGM is reading the book and sort of saying, okay, so where do you want to go? And you go, well, I'm going to go north. So you move your little character north under a card. He'll flip the card and it will say you're at the mine. He'll then read from his book. Right, you find yourself at a mine. What do you want to do? You can go inside the mine. You can explore around the entrance to the mine. You can leave, or you could collapse the mine in. In case there's monsters in there. And then you then roll a fate. So you actually don't get to choose what you want. You roll a fate dice. So it's a D4. You roll that, and that kicks one of the options to do. And so it happens. And it's often, what I quite liked about it, sorry, I got some in my tooth. What I quite liked about it is it wasn't massively predictable. So you assume it's going to be, you go into them, like, it's nicely written, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Anything could have happened, and it wasn't what you expected. Now, of course, if you play this, I think, number of times, and probably 10 plus times, you'll get to know all of the locations and all of the options, and therefore can probably it might get a bit stale, but for those first 10 times from one book, I like the deck. The deck was huge, so that, the deck was probably this thick, definitely 100 cards, so loads of locations, so maybe even way more than probably 10, right? I'm probably doing it a misjustice there. But the guy doing it definitely added a flavour to it. He clearly was a good sort of, he'd done lots of sort of RPGs before, and he said basically the book gives you story, but there's loads of room to elaborate. So for someone like me who's just getting into sort of D&D, one as an adult within a group, but also playing it with my kids, it will give me an opportunity to elaborate on that. So that was Weirding Wood. It's a Kickstarter, and I think it's like £20-30 for the book and all the cards and everything, so it's pretty cheap for what if you make that to be a couple of quid every time you play it, you pay that, right? So I think it's pretty awesome. If you get 30 goes out of it, you've paid a quid every time you played that game. I'm on board with that. Right, let me think else. What else did we play? We played so many games, man. Just trying to think what else we got into. Penguin Brawl, by a really crazy company name, something Custard. Let me just turn and get this. I will show it to you anyway. What was it called? Team Custard. There we go. I'll come back here and talk to you. So Penguin Brawl by Team Custard Games. It was akin to a Exploding Kittens. What's the unicorn one called? There's a unicorn game as well. But that sort of card game, and this was, you have penguins, all very funny names, and all look very great artwork on the card, and you're fighting these other penguins. You're fighting each other. The idea is to kill your opponent, but you can only kill them by going through their penguin army. So you've got to take out the penguins. They get to lay more penguins and upgrades and downgrades and swap penguins and lay these gigantic sort of apocalypse penguins. Just a great fun sort of table game. I've got a friend who calls it beer and pretzel type games, or for kids just like travel games. So that was great fun. We enjoyed playing that, and again these guys were great. The people running that stall were really nice, really friendly, and they were doing a bundle where you could get Penguin Brawl and its expansions for 20 quid, and then you got a free copy of a game called Where's the Pickle? Find the Pickle, and you can also win a copy as well. So we actually won 2 copies, but they do a not safe for work version and a kids version, so we ended up with both versions. So that stall, we walked away with everything that stall did: Penguin Brawl and the expansions. and both versions of Find the Pickle. Whew. Right, as we're just sitting here chatting, let me see if anything jump out of me, because there's so much. Oh, my son, whilst I'm looking in this, my son played his first tournaments ever, so he's 11 years old, and he jumped into a Keyforge tournament. The first one on the Saturday was more like a friendly, so he just got a deck and played, and then the Sunday was actual what they call a side event, and it was a sealed game. So you buy a new deck of Keyforge, you turn up, you can trade that deck with somebody, or you can open it and play it yourself, and then you play it and you win shards on your Keyforge. Well, we've never got into this before. We've only learned to play Keyforge this weekend. He loved it so much he asked if he could enter a competition, and he came second. Out of 8 people, he came second, which is really cool. Oh, I've just seen my friend in the magazine. This is a guy. My friend Mort. Mort, if you're watching, you're in the magazine. Yeah, so that was really cool. If you've not played Keyforge, definitely try it out. It's just, you buy a deck, £8 for a deck. There's no min-maxing, there's no playing the meta. It's what's in that deck is what you're going to play. It's unique to you. Everyone's deck is different. It's same cards, but the combinations will be different. The order in which the houses you can play, the houses are like the type of card that you can play will be different. And yeah, you're pretty much on a level playing field of it. Especially if you do a sealed event, you're definitely on a level playing field of everybody else. So yeah, he entered into that and came second. And what was really nice is that I was walking my other boy around whilst he was playing, because we didn't want to just stand behind him whilst he was playing in the competition. When we came back, he was so chuffed that he'd come second, and bear in mind he's 11 and he was playing, I think, all adults. Everyone else in that group was, my age, middle-aged type individuals. Certainly not young, certainly not 11 or anywhere near their teens. The guy who beat him, because otherwise he would have come first, the guy who beat him was so impressed of how well he played as an 11-year-old kid, he actually gave him his playmat. I think, he's getting himself a new one, I think the story was, and James, like, beaming his face, literally, and I'll show you it. It's a nice little Starfield playmat, which was really cool, because my son James was talking about getting a playmat at the show, which we couldn't find any. Not beyond just a plain black or plain blue one, but like a pictured playmat. But the fact that he got given one by someone who won a competition, there's a bit of a story behind this playmat he now has, and I thought that was super nice, right? And that's what I keep saying about this community. That was really, really cool. Don't have to do that sort of stuff, but he did, and yeah, it made his day. We don't know your name. My son didn't get his name. But if you randomly happen to see this and you gave your playmat to an 11-year-old boy after playing a competition with him, don't want to say after beating him, but you know what I mean, then you're a top bloke, and you made his day. So thank you for that. What else did we do? Just looking through here. Oh, we played lots of other card games again, because I own things. I wanted to play them. So talking about Keyforge, we also played the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions card game, because I own a bunch of decks of that. I own a bunch of starter decks. So we sat down and played that, and again, that was fun. Once we'd learnt some of the mechanics of how you essentially have these 4 champions. These 4 champions can do lay units and abilities and that. And what actually you're trying to do is unlock the blessings that these champions have. So behind each champion is a sort of overturned blessing, it's like an ultimate ability or something. And that's what you want to get, right? Because those are normally game-ending things, or certainly give you the upper hand against your opponent. But to unlock those, you essentially have to do a quest on your champion, and the quest is represented by these kind of icons in the corner of the cards. And depending on which abilities and units you play, if those abilities units match the icons that's on the top left corner of the champion turns, and he turns, and he turns, and he turns, and when he gets back to his original state, you flip the blessing, you get the blessing. And once we'd got the hang of that and playing in lanes, because we just immediately thought it was just like another card game like Magic and all the others, but it's not. It's very different. Much similar to, obviously made by the same company that makes Light Seekers, so similar to that. But it was really cool. And of course, you know it straight away because it is Age of Sigmar. Therefore, you know it. I'm just flipping through this magazine to see other things that jumped out at me. I'm trying to find. I'll tell you a story about another nice thing that happened whilst I'm doing this. We met. There was a stall. And I'm going to have to try and find the name. I have tried to look this morning, but because the map of the show doesn't, it just gives you numbers, and then you have to go to a reference to the numbers against a list of like an index of companies. If it did it the other way around, it'd be a little bit easier. But there was a lady who made. It must have been a lady. It must have been it was a man and a woman. I think they were man and wife, husband and wife. And they made bespoke, decorative, like RPG items. So like GM screens and dice trays, and like these really nice leather-bound books to put your tokens and all these sorts of really nice stuff, like gems and dragons on it, and really cool things. And they were running a competition where you bought some raffle tickets. I think it was like £2 for 10 raffle tickets or whatever it was. And sorry, let me have a quick drink. Yeah, so they run a competition, bought a ticket, and if you won, you could pick any item off of their table. And some of their items were, 1, beautiful, and 2, very expensive. So yes, winning that would have been very nice, and I certainly would have picked up one of the GM screens because they looked awesome. So yeah, let me carry on that story. So anyway, we bought some raffle tickets for that. Boys are very excited, and she was extremely nice. She was chatting to the boys, and we were talking about how she makes the things on her table and how nice they were. And we left it. That was on the Friday. We come back on the Saturday, walked up to her table and said, "Oh, who won the prize?" And she said, "Oh, it was ticket 254. He took one of the GM screens." And we're like, "Oh, that's really cool." And then James was like, 254. I think I had 254. So Blake rummages in his bag, pulls out his ticket. He actually had the numbers before, so he had. Sorry, I've got a froggy throat today. All this talking over the weekend. He had like 249 or something, right? So she saw him and was like, "Oh man, I was so much you had won. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, you came so close." She said, "I'll tell you what, because you came so close, you can pick one of the pendants that I make." And she's got this whole thing of pendants. All sort of very decorative and very nice. And this is what he picked. Now, the chain it was on has actually come off, but I'm going to replace it very easily. Now, that's probably not going to go into focus. There you go. So it's a dragon wrapped, but it's nice, right? It's a dragon wrapped around a sword. I think you're getting glimpses of it. There we go. All right. So he won that. It came on just a very simple silver chain. I have no idea how much it was, but she gave it to him for free, and I was like, "You don't need to." I said, "You don't need to do that." He didn't win, so you don't need to do that. She's like, "No, please take it." And then James pulls out his ticket, and he has actually got 254 because it's literally the ticket after Blake bought his strip, but it's 254 from a different book. So of course, as she's gone through the day and she's sold so many raffle tickets, she must have cleared through one book and got another one and sold that many and so on and so forth. So he's got 254 from the previous book, and she's like, "Oh no, that's now she feels even worse." She's like, "So yeah, you can take one of these as well. Please pick anyone you want." I haven't got his one because he's actually wearing it. He hasn't taken it off since he won it. I was given it by this incredibly kind lady. And it's a circular sort of bronze thing. It's like a dragon eating its own tail in a circle, right? It looks very Games of Thronesy, and just so nice. So I was like, thank you. yeah, and I'm gonna find out who she is, and reach out to her just to say how nice she was, for doing that, even though she had didn't have to do it at all. We didn't win, so really, 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 really kind. Okay, so shall we look at some swag? That's probably the thing to do, isn't it? And that might spark my thoughts on some things. Um, because yeah, my brain's like going 1,000 miles an hour trying to think of all this. There's so much you can do there. I know I've only talked about 3 or 4 different games, and I'm literally trying to, I'm literally trying in my mind sort of walk up and down the aisles. But we played just so. Let's talk about the contrast paints. Let's talk about those quickly. Brilliant. Actually, I can reach out to a model. I'll show you this in a sec. So the contrast paints are the new paints from GW. They had them on display. They had them on. You could use them, and they must have had about 30 tables of. I did actually go back there on the Sunday, and the amount of paint pots that had been just ruined, and they had the Citadel paint mats out, and those were wrecked, and the paint brushes looked like they could just go straight. I'm sure they did go straight in the bin. These are the new paints from GW. They're supposed to be sort of these one thick coat paints, and what happens is as they dry and recess into the crevices of your paint, of your miniature, you get a natural highlight and a shade at the same time in the recesses, and they actually work. I do have one problem with them, which I'll talk about in a second. But we sat down, and within 5 minutes, I'm not even joking. Within 5 minutes, produced that. Literally, you can tell it's rough as hell. But if that's 5 minutes of paint work, the armor pieces there. You've got that's literally one coat of the Nurgle green, the black, and a brown. I think it's 3 colours, and if you've got that at the 3-foot test, with a bit of a basing on it, it needs touching up in loads of places. It's rough as hell, but you get the general gist that that is, I'm holding that 10 inches, 5 inches from the camera. If I come back here. Sorry, my throat is killing me. Yeah, so we sat down and painted a bunch of these. My son's one actually broke. He broke his arm off this guy, but this is my kids painting them as well. And they were great. So kind of a mix between an ink, a dip. So if you were to take, a sort of a Citadel shade, an army painted dip, and then a paint of whatever one you want. Somehow mix those 3 together and make a paint out of them. I think you're there with contrast paints. So you put it on really gloopy, not too much. You've got loads of time to move it around, and put it where you want it. But it came out brilliantly. It takes a while to dry. Whilst it's drying, you can do a bit of wet blending, and there's nothing stopping you afterwards going around and doing all your edge highlights if you want to. But this kind of creates those anyway. So you get like your dark and you get your light, and so it creates quite a nice kind of coverage. I think they're going to be pretty awesome. I think it's a master move from Games Workshop. This hobby only survives by its youngest people, and therefore, if you don't keep bringing people into the hobby, you've not got a business. So I think this is great for getting people that are a little bit afraid of putting paint on miniatures because they don't think they're going to do a good enough job, which is nonsense. Getting them out there and getting them painting miniatures, and also for us who, I'm not a pro painter at all. I think I do an alright job. Certainly what I paint, I'm happy with, until I see other people's, but that's just me. But for those of us with huge backlogs, like Hey, I've got an entire Seraphim army I've not painted. Hey, I've got an entire Nurgle army I haven't painted. A Space Marine, blah 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 blah. Hundreds and hundreds of miniatures. For us, we can now. They're not our main army. You know, highly likely it's not your main army for the one you want to do to make it look fantastic. You just want to go, hey, one day I'm going to want to play Seraphim. No, actually, for my son, he wants to play a dinosaur army, so I can now do the paint job on those that I think will look perfect for tabletop very quickly. And yeah, and I know because I've seen it done. If you do basing, you do some nice bases, it kind of very much counters a lesser paint job by doing a great base, and bases are way more fun. So hey, do that. But yeah, great paints. I think they come out for pre-order this weekend coming, so I no doubt I'll be picking up a whole bunch of those. My one complaint and my only warning to this is that they stain. So for those of you with young people, or even yourself if you're a bit clumsy, do not get these paints on your clothes because it will stain them and it will not come out. My youngest son Blake, on the Sunday, a bit of a mishap with the black paint. Now with the normal acrylic paints you'd have no problem, you can just wash them out, but he was wearing his football shirt that day, and he thought he'd pushed it. This is classic Citadel paint pots. He thought he'd clip the lid down to give it a shake. He hadn't quite clicked it all the way down, so he shook it, and paint went on him. It went on his trainers, it went on his jeans, it went on his football shirt, and we've put them through the wash now, I think 3 times. It's faded a bit, and I've scratched some of it out, but do not get that stuff on your clothes. I don't know what's in the mixture, but it is not classic Citadel or any other acrylic paint, so it will stain your clothes. That's my tip. We've all knocked a Nuln Oil over, and these come in the same size pots as the GW shades. So 3D print yourself or buy yourself one of those untippable pot things. Okay, cool. Let's. How long have I been going for? This seems like I've been talking for ages. Let's drop over to the table then, and I'll run you through some of the stuff that we bought. I think I want to go to this camera. That looks good. Right. Oh, let me grab my little remote. This video is rough. That's okay. We're all friends. Okay. So I'll try and show you some of the stuff we bought. I'll turn on this close camera in case I need it. I may not need it. There we go. I can hold things up to the camera if you're interested in seeing it. Oh, little gimbal going a bit crazy there. Where is it? I told you this is just a Monday morning sort of watch and chat video. I definitely want to hear from you guys if you went, what you did at the Expo, or what you may have watched. If you want to see a whole bunch of content, definitely go over on tabletop.com or beastsofwar.com, take you to the same site, and they were like the main press coverage for UK Games Expo this year, and they did a lot. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I was looking for. Right, so what should we start with? We'll kick off with this because this isn't anything special and it's actually just an empty box. In the video previous to this video, I did an unboxing of an amazing mystery box. Ooh! My youngest son Blake, gets one of these wherever he goes. Whenever we go to an expo, there's always one of these companies there that does this. He loves these things because of the randomness that comes in it. These guys were doing them for 20 quid. It's actually quite a large box, you can tell. I'm keeping the box because this looks like a perfect miniatures box. Put a bit of foam in there, transport some miniatures. Yes, so this was a Star Wars one, so a bunch of stuff in this in Star Wars. If you look at the video previous to this, you'll see everything that was inside this box. and it wasn't bad for 20 quid. He was happy. So there we go. That was the first thing. That was one of the things we purchased. Then over here, we popped past TT Combat. TT Combat again, one of those kind of staple companies. Let me go and adjust my camera because I'm talking to the top of my head at the moment. Oh. Go on, guys. It's Monday morning. It's early. There we go. Let's do that. That's better. There we go. Not that you care about this camera. You care about what's down here anyway. So yeah, TT Combat. Try to not spend too much money on those guys. And again, didn't go there this year to buy loads of things because I easily could have done. What we did get was, because my son enjoyed painting, first thing we got was my youngest Blake. He's always wanted dice towers. He loves dice towers, so he bought with his own pocket money a dice tower. I think it was like a £5. He's even so excited he took out the packet before I even got a chance to sort of say, "Let me build it. I'll sort it out." But yeah, so he's got a dice tower. Very simple. But he's happy. And then my son James, who really enjoyed painting with the contrast paints, we picked him up a paint choice. He's going to have this in his bedroom. He's more than welcome always in here, but he wants to be able to sit in his room. He's got like a small gaming table in his room, and he wants to chill out with his in his own room painting. So I've got one of these because he can transport that between this lodge and his bedroom with some paints. It's made for the Citadel paint range and the water pots. So you can pop that in there. Yeah. And that was, again, well, you can see the price there. It was £8 for a painting tray. Not bad. What else have we got? A bunch of Keyforge decks. So, as I said, we really enjoy playing Keyforge. So we bought a bunch of decks to play Keyforge. There's 4 decks there. And every single one of them is unique. And if you do the competitions, like where he went to the blind, the sealed event it's called, you have to have a new deck. So we picked up some of those. And they were £8 a deck. One thing I would say for Games Expo is there's no, between the traders there's no talking about pricing. So you could find Keyforge decks that ranged from £7.50 to £9.99. So I would say that when you first get there, it's not a bad idea to have a look around, because prices do vary between the various stalls. So do take a look. Next up, my boys are reading the new Warhammer books. These are definitely aimed at younger audiences. So we picked up, I bought them in the wrong order. I didn't realise there was an order to them. So they already have the, I don't know why my Alexa's just started, but she's gone away now, it's fine. Yeah, I bought the Tyranid one and the Skaven one because my kids like Tyranid and Skaven. I thought they were one-off stories, but it turns out there's an order, and these are the first 2 books. So Attack of the Necron and City of Lifestone, fantasy, 40k. So we've got both of those, so they now have the 4 books in the series. We got this from Art of War Studios. You won't be able to see this on the camera at all, even on the close camera, because it's white. But let me open it up. It is a tracker for playing your RPGs on. So it's a D&D 5th edition whiteboard, but with all the headings and everything of the various stats you've got. Not much good to show you on the camera, but it looked quite cool, and a dry eraser wipeable, so you can just write on it and wipe it off. I'm in a group, so my first kind of real RPG introduction. So all of us in the group, the guy who's running the group actually bought one for everyone, and we just paid him back. So we all have one of these now to track our characters on. What's next? Well, going in from RPG, I really like these dice. I doubt you'll be able to see them on the camera, but they are just a nice set of RPG dice. I quite like them. They're clear with like red writing on. I quite like them. Actually, I realise there's some stuff missing from this table, but I'll tell you what that is anyway. because I'm realising I'm missing a couple of things. So it went to the Mordifius stand and got to the Skyrim miniature. So this is the Dovahkiin, you know, the iconic character from the Skyrim games. Yeah, so Dragonborn. Let me crack it open so you can see it. Not there'll be much to see because it'll be a couple of components, but yeah. If you know what Skyrim is, if you know what Elder Scrolls is, you know the character I'm talking about. And he looks a bit like that. Oh, oh, trying to reach over. Oh, oh. There you go. Picked it up because I think it's just an iconic character to have painted and put on a shelf somewhere. Not sure I'll get into the Skyrim game. I've always wanted to play the video game. I own it on several systems, just because it's always the thing that's in sale whenever there's a computer game sale on. The wind's about to slam my door. No, didn't quite. Okay, but it's one of those games you have to sort of sink your life into. Okay. Next up is from the Cozy Dice people, which make they make dice bags, token bags, dice tray. I think they make dice trays. All sorts of really nice. But here, I'll show you one of the dice. This is one of the dice bags, and you can see it's full of dice. This is the Beasts of War dice bag. I bought this a couple of years ago, and it's chocked full of dice. So whenever I want to grab a dice, I know I can go there and grab. Oh, shut that around. That's because I've changed the angle of my camera. My camera used to face the other way. So yeah, really nice, thick, sort of, you know, really, yeah. There we go. So this year, I went there. Actually, I didn't intend to buy anything from there. And I walked past and saw that they did these iron-on badges. So this is the Cult of Games. This is on tabletop. And this is the people from, these are little like icons of the people at Beasts of War. So I saw those, and I'm one of the very few people to own this bag, which is the Hobby God bag from the team over at Beasts of War, now on tabletop. So when I saw these iron-on patches, I figured, why don't I iron them onto my cool Hobby God bag that they awarded me, because I think that looked really cool. So that's what that's for. In fact, I assume this bag was also made by, I don't know if it's in the tag or anything, but this was also made by them. Now, I was given this bag rather than bought it, so I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it's probably them that got it made, the Hobby God bag. One of my top possessions, because I don't think I deserved it when I won it, but they seem to thought I did, and they did. So I'm not gonna complain. Right, Penguin Brawl. I'm not even needing to use the close camera, so I'm not going to bother. I can show you everything else. So this is Penguin Brawl, and as I said, look, great artwork, and all about just destroying your opponent. 2 to 8 players, and then it came with 2 expansions. Yeah, Battle of the Gods. That may be a mistake there. I don't know if that is a mistake, but I think it said 2 expansions, but I seem to have 2 of the same expansion. Ooh, is that a mistake when they were packing the bag? Anyway, not too fussed. The game was good. I have 2 expansions of Battle of the Gods, and I'm not sure if there was another expansion. Anyway, and then we actually won this by drawing a coin from a bag. I happened to join a green coin, which won me a free pack of Find the Pickle. I'm told it's a really fun game, and we'll try it out. And then, because I bought Penguin Brawl, you got a free copy of Find the Pickle, and they gave me the not safe for work version. That's that. Also went over to Bad Squiddo Games, one of the very few miniature companies that were there. There wasn't much in the way of miniatures. There was a few Kickstarter stands showing what their miniatures are going to be in the future, but there weren't many miniature companies. Now I could be unfair on that. There was Mantic, there was Warlord, there was um, Bad Squiddo Games. There was a couple, but and that's because I'm comparing it to something like a Salute, which is obviously very focused on that. And you could argue there are no board games at Salute, of which there are some, but very few. This is UK Games Expo. The majority of it is board gaming, and therefore I'm probably being harsh saying there wasn't many miniature companies there. So this is actually Lagatha. So if you watch the show Vikings, this is an interpretation of Lagatha from the TV show and also from history. And this is going to be going into my Viking saga army that I'm building. There we go. This is a fun little game called Tactics. It was like £5. My youngest son played it. It's a football game. You basically you lay out a formation like 4-3-3 or 4-2-4 or whatever formation you want to play blindly. Then you flip a card and you might get the goalkeeper in attack. Your job is then to swap that goalkeeper with somebody else to get the goalkeeper into goal. But then you might have swapped a defender into attack, and then basically it's the first person to get all of their squad in their right locations. And then there's some additional rules you can add to the game. So a good little fun game. Takes 10 minutes to play. It's clearly a chuck in the bag travel game. And my son, who's 8, really enjoyed it, and he's got friends who are massive football fans, and they will play that. So that was picked up for him. So that was a game called Tactics, and it's by, doesn't say who it's by. That feels like a mistake that they should have put on the packaging, because now I can't tell you who it's by. But the guy who we sat down and played with, I think created it. Let me try and look inside. I'd like to tell you who it's by at least. Just talk a bunch of things. Right, let's have a look. Come on. Tell us who your game is. Oh yes, it was an individual. So the guy is actually just called Mark Craddock. He was the individual who done it. It wasn't a company. It was funny because the only way you could buy it was his first time at a show, which is always a brave thing to do. So you had to literally PayPal him directly to his account. So well done, Mark, for doing your first show and bringing a nice little game that we know we will enjoy. Next up, we've got I saw this store that was selling 5th edition, so Goodman Games. They were selling these kind of D&D adventures. So like I say, I'm literally just getting into the world of D&D, and this is more for when I play with my kids. So I've started the D&D 5th edition starter box with them. So they've got their characters as my 2 sons and their friend, and I'm GMing for them, and we're doing the mission that comes in the starter box. So I was trying to think of what we do next, and these are some sort of pre-written adventures from Goodman Games that are sort of level 1 to 5 adventures. So we thought that might be quite fun to do. That's that. And then talking of that, I also, just so they can have some representation on the table, we're not necessarily going to play with miniatures, but we saw that you could get the starter characters from the starter box. So there is you have an elf wizard, and this is from, you probably all know this, is it WizKids? Yeah, WizKids. So this is the elf wizard, and it comes in 2 variants. Then we've got the human barbarian. Again, it comes in 2 variants. They're like £5 for 2 miniatures. It's super cheap, £2.50 a miniature. I mean, they're not the greatest miniatures in the world, and there's the dwarf cleric. So these are the 3 characters they're playing: elf wizard, human barbarian, dwarf cleric. That's what they're playing in the game. So they've now got a little miniature to present of who they are, and also they all want to paint, so they can all paint their own characters. My son loves dice, so he wanted to buy a little pack of dice. So this is from Chessex. chessex.com festival water lily white polyhedral 7 dice. So there we go, just some nice RPG dice, so he'll enjoy playing with those. Games, didn't buy hardly any. There are, so you could say there's a few games there, but not big games. The only big game we bought, like proper game, is Subterra. Played this. So talking about this and that, this has jogged my memory. We sat down and played this, and it was great fun. So Subterra is a survival game where you find yourself lost inside of a cave system, and you've got to reveal your way out of these cave systems, and there can be floods and gas leaks and cave-ins, but also occasionally you might reveal a monster. Now these monsters are unseen. I think there are miniatures, but I like the idea of there not being a miniature, because when I saw the miniatures for them, I was like, oh, now they're not that scary. But when it's just a token of these kind of 3 claw marks, and you can make up in your mind what the monsters are, I had something much worse in my mind than this kind of demon dog thing. Yeah, Tim Pinder, what game company? What's this? From Inside the Box Board Games, Subterra. Now my only regret was they were on the stall doing buy this and the 3 expansions for a bundle price. I waited until the Sunday, thinking I'll pick it up on Sunday or maybe on the way out. They completely sold out of the bundle, so I ended up buying this just from a generic sort of sales, board game desk that was just selling loads of board games. So I didn't get any of the expansions, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise, because I tend to go all in on games instead of, maybe I should play the core game and then move on to the expansions at another time. But great, we really enjoyed Subterra. Highly recommend it. I know there's a Subterra 2, which is like in sort of Egyptian temples, and there's a lava mechanic and that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this version of the kind of the cave system where you're gonna get murdered. Thought that was cool. This was the sprues from the Parabellum game I won. So they gave me 2 sprues of the crossbowman. It looks like there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 per spruce. That's 6, 12, 18, 24 archers, which is 2 units of archers. That's not bad for a freebie. And I don't know if you can see on here that they are, great looking sprues of plastic, real chunky. They're all 4 the same. There's no point in me showing all of these ones. But yeah, so this is Parabellum. And that was just for winning the game. So that's easy. 15 quid, maybe 20 quid's worth of archers there. 24 archers. Not going to complain about that. Right, we're into the last few things. This was I just thought I'd show you this. This was the mat that my son got given to him by the guy playing. Again, if you watch this, you're a top gent, and this is awesome, right? Some people might look at actually, I'm not even going to say anything bad about it. There's nothing bad about this. This mat now has a history and a story, and my son is over the moon and will play on this mat many hundreds of times. Thank you, whoever you are out in the world. You're an absolute gent. Silly little things we got. We did a Keyforge challenge while we were there. You can walk around the event, find various things, and get a whole bunch of badges. So we got a badge for each of the houses within Keyforge. We all did it, so got loads of badges. One thing I did get, which is over there, which I've just spotted. I did say to you that we learned to play the Age of Sigmar Champions game. Like I say, I already have a bunch of decks and stuff for it, but what we didn't have was the mats. Oh, that's not mats, that's the wrong mats. Why am I showing you those? That's Light Seekers. You don't care about that. Because they're not new. This must be up here. This is it. So I chucked them up in the roof already. Oh, Don't worry, I'm coming back. Not that there's anything wrong with Light Seekers mats, but I didn't get them at UK Games Expo. This is what we bought at UK Games Expo. So these are, before we were using, when we had played it once or twice to sort of try and learn the game, each starter deck comes with a paper version of one of these mats, and it's just screwed up and not very nice to play on. So we bought the neoprene Age of Sigmar Champions mats. It comes with a nice little key on the left hand and the right hand side of what different cards are and how to play, turn order, and then a life tracker around the edges. So we've got 2 of those. They're really nice. Gotta love some neoprene. Everyone loves neoprene. Gaming mats, playing mats, everything. This is even a neoprene mat. Everything's a neoprene. That's that. The thing I haven't got with me because it's in my bag is I also bought from a company that makes, it's called All Rolled Up. Hopefully I'm getting that name right. They make these nice sort of decorative like bags and token holders and all this sort of stuff. A bit like the Cozy Dice people, but more specifically for RPGs. And they also do portable dice trays. So these are like they are made of neoprene again. I must have a thing for neoprene. And you basically can make it flat, roll it up, and then you can clip it at the corners. I'm sure I have another one around it somewhere, which I could have shown you. But basically, little clippers, clip it at the corners, and it makes a tray. And you can roll dice in it. And I bought one that was a Fighting Fantasy cover art for that. So that was really nice. I think that's it. I think I've just described to you everything I got. So I'll come back over there and have a quick chat with you. If you sit back down, okay. There we go. Okay, cool. So, just trying to think if that was everything. That was everything that I picked up at the show. Again, told you, as I said, previous years I've come back, I've had like 5 or 6 big board games, and I've gone a bit crazy. But this year wasn't about that. This year was more about playing games, spending time with the kids, learning things that we already own. Yeah, I mean, I've got so many board games in here that it's getting crazy. So it's good to sort of just get some plays on them. Yeah. So let me know. I'm going to end the video, I think. If there's anything else I think of that's worth us talking about, I'll come back and chat with you. Let me know what you got up to if you did go. Let me know what you like or don't like about what I've shown you, or just general feedback in at all. That's nice. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and we'll probably do some more Let's Plays of various things. Yeah. That's it. Thanks, everybody. See you soon. Goodbye.